everybody. Welcome to Revival Town Podcast. I'm Chuck Tate. That's Andy King.
Hey, we are back.
Back live. Well,
Sort of.
Back with a fresh new episode.
Yeah.
Our flashback series has ended. Of course, we threw JD in there, but today's a great episode.
Oh, man, it's going to be good. There's been a lot that's gone on in the last few weeks since we've been here. One of those events and things that happened was at the Dream Center, we had an event called Soup and Soul, which you came to.
Soup and Soul. I showed up ready for soup.
You know, that's the only reason why you came.
Might have been. No, I love the Dream Center. In fact, a portion of our team was there and some people from our church. And
yeah,
it was just good. It was packed, mate.
Yeah,
you guys
over
did a great
600
job
people showed up.
How many again?
Over 600.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say there were hundreds. It was just wall-to-wall people.
We had 30 restaurants from all over the area that come and bring their soups and
some good ones, I might add.
Oh yeah. We had I got to tell this story. So a few weeks ago, we get a call from our chef who does all the meals in the Dream Center. We serve make 67,000 meals a year for our homeless guests and anyone that comes into the Dream Center. And so we've got this lady who's really passionate about cooking, right? And the chef, her name's Lorraine. She's like, I need a name for my soup. Can I test the soup on you guys and then as a staff, and then you can tell us, one, if you like it, and then give us some options of names. I said, yeah, Lorraine, we'll do that. No problem. So I'm sitting there and I'm eating this soup and I'm like, this tastes really good, but this meat doesn't taste normal. Uh-oh. And so I'm like, Lorraine, this is really good, but what is the soup? And especially, what is the meat in the soup?
Because it didn't taste like chicken?
Didn't taste like chicken, mate. And she said it was alligator.
Alligator! Alligator soup! Wow!
So
I had some of it, and I didn't know it was alligator until today, earlier when he told me. Goodness.
So she was there with, again, and many other restaurants were there as well. It was a real fun night, indeed, and thank you for anyone who came out. We were able to show people around the Dream Center, which was the aim of the night. Give them a tour of what we do, but that was fun.
So, but you're leaving out one of the funny parts of the night.
Oh yeah.
So there were TVs on stands in several parts of the room that this took place in. And you were advertising a QR code for Dream Center events and, so people can click on it and see what the Dream Center is all about. But you also included a Revival Town podcast slide.
Oh, bit of self-promotion.
Getting it out there. Well, a lot of people kept coming up and commenting.
Well, wait. It wasn't just that. You show up, and for some reason, the slide gets stuck on the screen.
The Revival Town slide.
The Revival Town slide. So I have staff members coming up and going, is Revival Town now a Dream Center ministry? Why is it stuck on the screen?
Oh, my goodness.
But we fixed it. We were able to get there, but it was on there for like 5 minutes.
I had a couple people come up to me, ask me about it, and I took out my key fob and acted like I was controlling it. Yeah, I have it paused right now, Oh, my goodness. So, Soup, Soul, and Revival Town Podcast.
There you go. Well, you are listening to a great week. If you listened last week, you remember we did a flashback with Martin Smith, who was the lead singer for Delirious for many years, is now on tour with Kari, Jobe, and Cody Carnes. And so we thought we would do something a little bit different. And we would invite his wife today to come and speak. Anna Smith.
I loved it.
She's been the backbone to Delirious and to Martin's ministry. They have 6 kids, right? So when Martin's off on the road, she was the one that was at home. And you're going to hear some amazing stories of just what it was like being a wife and mother of someone who's on the road many days of the year. And you said it was one of the best ones you've...
Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones. It's a great conversation. She's a lot... You can just tell she is a lot of fun, but what I really loved is her transparency and the fact that through all the hardships that come with ministry, she's not jaded. She still loves Jesus. She loves his word.
Yeah.
My kind of people.
So why don't you just sit back and relax, grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea if you want to go...
Or some alligator soup.
And enjoy this conversation with Anna Smith.
This podcast is part of the Edify Podcast Network. Edify is a faith-inspiring app that brings together thousands of the best Christian podcasts in one place for your listening enjoyment. Cut through the noise and grow your faith by diving into the world's top Christian podcasts today. Download the Edify app for free from the App Store or Google Play, or by going to edify.app. That's edifi.app.
All right, everyone, it's time for another conversation on Revival Town Podcast. Our guest today, Anna Smith, is an author and speaker and is married to singer-songwriter Martin Smith, who was on Revival Town Podcast last week. Anna is a mother of 6 and grandmother. She loves God, people, church, community, fun, parties. I'm sure she's a lot of fun. She's joining us right now all the way from the UK. Anna, welcome to Revival Town.
Woo! Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It is great to have you on. We were joking earlier, but we've had pretty much all the band members from Delirious. We've had their kids on, so why don't we have the wives on, right?
Why not? Why not? Exactly. We'll tell you the truth.
Yeah. And that's exactly why we've brought you on.
Brilliant.
And many may have heard it from last week in the episode, but our paths crossed many years ago, bringing the guys to Peoria for nights of worship, and we would have a lot of fun with your families and our families, and getting American candy for all the kids when they got here, and we just became great friends over the years. And as things happened, obviously with you guys, with Delirious, there's always two sides to a story, and with the guys off on their travels, there's always family at home. And you even wrote a book about this called Meet Mrs. Smith, and love the book, and it really goes behind the story of what happens in a lot of families when they're husbands or wives are going on the road and are doing life. And so we're gonna jump into that a little bit, but before we do that, why don't you tell us a bit about who Anna Smith is, and perhaps how you met Martin and that whole story, and then from there we can start really unpacking some things.
Oh, well, first of all, thank you for having me. I feel totally honored to be here and to be asked. And like Andy said, we've known Andy and the family for many years, and, just feel so privileged to be asked to be on this. So I met Martin in 1993, must have been. I married in 94. I met him at, I think it was my sister's wedding. He was singing there, and I remember thinking, really lovely voice, nice guy, but he had a terrible suit on. That wasn't fitting him very well. He looked terrible in it. So anyway, I just thought I'd like to get to know him. Got to know him, and I fell in love, and still do. I am in love with the fact that he had this fascination with Jesus and with God, and just wanted to delve into all that meant for him. And I hadn't ever met anyone that was so into God and so into Jesus, into the word, into music. And I was actually quite fascinated, still haven't quite worked him out, but just love his love of God, and it's super contagious. It then got me interested more. I was brought up as a Christian. My dad was a pastor, so I've always had the faith there. But I think meeting Martin and being fascinated about what his relationship with God was like, really spurred me on to find my own relationship and my own, my faith more, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's how we met all those years ago, and just loved being with him, loved, hanging out, still do when we are together.
Yeah.
So that's a bonus.
And the thing that's crazy that many may not know this is, so you marry Martin, but then the family is all pretty much connected to the band members within Delirious. So this band starts.
It's super crazy.
Why don't you try and explain this? Try and explain this to us.
Oh, yeah, it is super crazy because my eldest sister, Becca, I'm one of 5. My eldest sister, Becca, is married to Tim, who's the keyboard player. And then my next sister, Sarah, was married to Stu, who was the drummer. I was married to Martin, and my brother, John, was the bass player. And really good friend, Stu G, might as well have been family because he's so close and loved being part of it all. So Stu and Karen, it was just, it was family.
And that was the beauty of it.
We need to do a Delirious trivia contest and give away some merch, I think. See, for everybody that's listening to all these episodes, see if they can piece it all together.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating story.
And what we loved about it when you came to the US, every other year you would do like a family tour. And we would tell the booking agents, like, we don't want the year when the families aren't coming. We want it when the kids are coming. And it was like, I don't know, one year, I think it was like 16 with
17 children.
17 children.
Wow.
Yeah. It was crazy. And one year it was with Matt Redman, so he had his kids as well. I mean, it was like, oh man, it was awesome.
It was busy. It was busy. It was crazy. But when I chat with my kids now, those were their favorite trips. Those were their favorite holidays ever, is being on a bus, going around America, for their Easter holiday. That was it for their spring break, I guess you guys call it. So it was their dream. It wasn't so much my dream. It was pretty tough, but I could think of other holidays that were probably nicer, but it was unbelievable to be able to do that, to take your children around and show them what Dad was doing every single night and show them what was going on in the world was pretty spectacular and a real gift. I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, and they even made it on stage every night. The kids did.
They did. The kids that were awake.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
We'll never forget that, though.
Oh, yeah. Because you came to some of the events, right?
Right,
at the church. And, I mean, okay, so the great thing about your book, Meet Mrs. Smith, is, it talks about what you've just talked about, where, it was great with the kids, but sometimes it wasn't. And the way you wrote about these two worlds of Martin being off and touring the world, and in the book at that time was really a pinnacle of Delirious, opening for Bon Jovi and the number one hit and all this stuff. But sometimes at home it was being tough for you because you were raising 6 kids. Tell us a bit about those two worlds colliding.
Yeah, because I think at the beginning of the book, you tell Martin was in India, Delirious was in India, and it's this incredible move of God is happening through Delirious, and he's on the phone with you, telling about it, and you have babies, and you're cooking, you got stuff on the stove, you're like, I don't care about that right now, I need help, right? Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I remember that really vividly, that phone call. Specifically, I was heavily pregnant with Mary, and who is my last baby. So I remember having 5 children, just juggling them in and out the bath, all these children, and just trying to lean over and just being heavily pregnant. And obviously the time zone difference was super crazy with Martin traveling, and he was in India. And he called me and he said, babe, how you doing? And I was like, it's pretty chaotic here. And he said, I'm in India at the minute, and I found a little girl and I'd like to bring her home. And I remember at that moment just thinking, I don't know how tell him that I just don't think I can do that.
Yeah.
And I think I said some bad words, and I think I cried. And I think I just needed him to know that, like, that might tip me.
Yeah.
Saying all of that, you know, the Lord spoke to me about it, and I was like, okay, God, if you are into this, you know, just make this super, super clear for us. And so the adoption papers were on the table before we knew it. And we were going through the whole, you know, trying to get Farine back to England. And long and short of it is, in the end, her mother came out of the industry that she was in that wasn't great, and wanted to look after her daughter and her family. And we wanted to support them and other communities in India. Yeah. So it opened up a whole other area for us where we went out and visited but family in the community out there. So that's just a snippet of the type of, and I know a lot of people listening will be aware of, like, their own life, home life, where their husbands or wives are away a lot, and juggling and knowing. And a lot of people with one parent families, and also with children have got extra needs. It's a pretty full-on season when you have got small children at home, and having your husband away or not having a partner, you know, it really does test you. Yeah. It really does bring you to some places where you don't choose to be and you never dreamt you would be. And it's in those times, I think, I've learned my faith. I've learned to hang on to God and hang on to my Heavenly Father when everything else is falling away. And also to be really honest and to not pretend that, you know, Martin's doing the ministry, so everything must be a blessing. Actually, just because Martin's doing the ministry doesn't mean that everything is great.
Right.
It can be really, really hard. And I'm just speaking up for all those women that feel like they have to, and men that feel like they have to, you know, say that it's all okay because, you know, their partners are doing the ministry. No. Whoever said that was going to be easy? Right. You know, it's full on and it's tough. And it's in these times that you've got to realize where your faith is and what you're going to hang on to, and the people you're going to chat with and what helps you through. I think that's really important.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know that early on when I was young in ministry, there was almost this false sense of you can't be honest with people, you can't be transparent. Mm-hmm. Don't let them know that you're struggling, because that'll show weakness. And obviously we know now, I mean, it's transparency that speaks volumes into people. I know people are listening, they can relate with, oh yeah, my husband's in ministry, or maybe travels, or a single parent home. Yeah. Like, yes, life is hard, ministry is hard, church is hard. I've been pastoring the same church 25 years. Some of my roughest moments of life have been as a pastor.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
totally.
I think as well, you're absolutely right, Chuck. Like, we always think like, and you hear it from people like, oh, we would love to be in the ministry. We would look, you know, for me with the Dream Center, oh, I'd love to be, you know, running the Dream Center or doing something with the Dream Center. And I'm like, yeah, there is a lot of joys, but there's also, especially with something like Dream Center, it's 24/7. You know, 3:00 in the morning when there's a family of 7 or 8 that have come in that are homeless that we got to look after. Like there's a weight to it as well that you have to really, you know, make sure that God is helping and strengthening, and also being honest, like Chuck said, to people and saying, well, ministry is ministry, good and bad. And especially with what you're talking about, it is so true, because we forget about it. We think, we see the person on stage and we think their life must be amazing, but you don't see what really is going on, you know. So good. Well,
so true.
Here's what I was going to ask you a little bit about is, in those years of Delirious, and then now, you know, they've been going, and then they've now announced that they're going to stop being a band, okay? And I think we were over right before the last concert in England, right? It was weird. I remember we were at the old house that you were at, and Tim, the keyboard player, had come over, and he was giving us this whole thing about Big Church Day Out that was just about to like start, right? And he was telling us about the flags and all this stuff and everything. What was that season like for you, knowing that this was about to end, but Martin was now going to be home more, and there was going to be a different season for you guys, right? I mean, Martin would be gone every other week or something like that, but now he's home, right? What was that like for you? Yeah. Was there an adjustment, or was it like, I think you need to go back on the road? Or
Yeah, it was a really, really hard season. If you can imagine as well, you know, these are my family. So this is my family that are doing this journey with us all. And it was implementing them to such a great deal that was really, really breaking my heart. So that was super tough.
Yeah.
You know, leaving the band was a huge decision for us. And I think, you know, it's because we weren't going into it and we didn't know what the next thing was. That does leave you very vulnerable. I've never, you know, in that time I'd only known Martin to be away. So then him staying at home, I didn't know what that would look like, whether that would be great or not. If I'm honest with you, I was nervous. You know, what does life look like with Martin being around 24/7 and will he go back on the road again? Will he keep singing? Is there another direction? God, you're going to have to, you know, help us in this. So it was very vulnerable. I remember being, very nervous, very, just asking God, very prayerful, but also a lot of emotion during that season of not knowing what the next thing was for us, but knowing super clearly that God had asked us to leave the band. So that, and everybody, I think, had their thoughts. And I remember being at a church where they were like, so what's next? What's the next thing? And for us to say, we're not sure. People didn't know how to cope with that either. Because everything's got to be bigger and better and the next thing. And, you know, you're not going to stop. We're going to keep on going. And actually, Martin and me didn't know. We didn't know what the next thing looked like. So was that going to be a time together? And it was for a season. And I'd love to say that was amazing, but actually that was really tough. That was really tough having Martin home and just reestablishing our roles again. And I had to, you know, get over some bitterness about him being away so much because, you know, I'd brought up the children with him being away and all of a sudden he was home and he was doing things differently. So it was a real tussle of roles and expectations and also not knowing what the next season looked like was really tough, as well as feeling responsible for my sisters and their husbands and the families and what everybody else was saying in our local church. And it was quite a full-on season. And the things that kept me going, honestly, was just knowing that I'd heard from my Heavenly Father and just walking in obedience with him, knowing that he had called us to do something. And that's what kept me going. Just being super prayerful and knowing that was a real peace to us both.
Well, did that add any conflict within the family because the whole band is just about related? So in like after the very last Delirious show, concert, those next few months, getting asked all those questions, seeing everybody at church, family functions, did that create some tension within the family?
Absolutely, as you can imagine. And, you know, we have to fight to keep those relationships good. You have to, you know, ask God to help you. And, you know, just getting those relationships back took time. And, you know, I'm very, very grateful and very, very thankful that I'm part of a family and a team that just wanted those relationships to be good as well. So, cool. You know, Well,
let's go back a bit, because there was something that happened in our lives, me and my wife and our family's life, that I'll never forget. That we lost a daughter way back, quite late in pregnancy, and we reached out to you guys immediately, just to tell you, I remember Martin saying, hey, we're going to shut the offices down for a day. We're going to go to prayer for your family. It was one of the darkest days of our lives, what we went through. And then, and you guys were so supportive, not just that day, but, reaching out to us and taking us through that. And then a year later, you guys were scheduled to come to Peoria again. And we were all excited. And I will never forget the day you guys pulled in. You had just flown over into Chicago, came down to Peoria, and Martin came off the bus, and you could tell there was something wrong. Like, Martin's pretty jovial and, hey, how's it going? And it wasn't that. It wasn't that at all. And he pulled me aside and said, hey, is Teresa here? And I said, yeah. I said, well, Anna's on the bus. Can she go and see her? And so we were going to get Teresa. And long story short, you had something that had happened on the flight over, and you actually dedicated a chapter to it in your book called Flight 378. Can you explain what had happened? And because I know my wife and you both connected in a way that only a few people can because of the experience that went on. Can you just go into that a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's one of those moments you'll never forget. We had scheduled to come over to America, and of course, it's a huge, it's a huge job to get all those people tickets, flights. The whole tour is a massive undertaking. And, I think it was a couple of months before we were heading out to America, I found out I was pregnant, and very, very excited, having our fifth child. And whilst I was going to the airport, I realized that I was losing the baby. And it was one of those, it was actually on the aeroplane that I lost the baby coming over to America. And it was one of those horrible moments of not knowing whether to just get back on the aeroplane and go home. That's really what I wanted to do, and just, snuggle in my own bed and just be amongst things. But I just really felt again that, and I'm not saying this is the right thing. Honestly, I'm not. I just felt again that God was going to give me everything I needed in order to get through that season. And so we landed, and the show went on that night. Martin jumped off the aeroplane, and I was in quite a lot of pain, obviously lost a lot of blood, and I needed to get sorted out and helped. And I had 4 children that needed to get off the aeroplane as well, which was pretty traumatic, actually. Just the flight even over was, as you can imagine, you can't move, you're sitting there. Yeah. And I vividly remember Martin, because I had 2 children either side of me, and he had 2 children either side of him, so he was behind me. And I remember just looking through the gap in the aeroplane chair and just holding his hand as I was on that aeroplane. And it was just, just a horrific experience. And then not knowing what the right thing was, but knowing that Martin had a tour, and there were lots of people that were coming to these tours and coming to the shows. And it was, I decided to keep going. Teresa was amazing, landing, knowing that there was somebody there that would understand and just know the right thing to say. But I'm built probably quite differently to Martin, in as much as I'm like, we got to keep going, Martin, head in the game, let's go. But I remember that first night, him coming off the stage and just sobbing, absolutely sobbing, and not knowing, whether he could go on to do the tour. So, those just real stuff that I know a lot of people will have gone through. Yeah. And, how many years later, must be 20 years later, doesn't, I can remember it like yesterday. Yeah. So, those things kind of are your memories, and you work through that and wonder what if, and all those questions are still there, aren't they? So you just journey that.
And what we found was, especially with what had happened with us, that our daughter had a condition called anencephaly, where basically there was no brain, but there was a brain stem, which was then triggering a heart. So it felt, for Teresa, felt like the baby was developing. There was a heartbeat. It was very sporadic movement. There was no brain, and pretty rare condition. But yet since that, we have met so many people who have had this same experience that have just needed someone to talk to. Right. And, even though we went through that dark time, we've now been able to bring a bit of light to people through that dark time. And I'm sure that's happened with yourself as well. The experience of it was horrible.
Absolutely.
But you could minister in a way that you would never have been able to before.
And God already knew that your two worlds would collide, and that there was a divine appointment. And God just has a way of putting people in your pathway to speak into your life in the right moment. Yeah. So it's
so true.
Helps us get through those times.
Well, one of the things that, I think through all of that experience and Martin's heart, your heart, especially Delirious as well, they went to some of the nice areas of the world, but then they also went to some of the roughest areas. We talked about India and other places. And compassion has been a big deal to you and to Martin. I remember you guys doing Compassion Art, which was an organization to try and just help organizations that are dealing with poverty. Can you just touch on that a little bit? Obviously, the whole compassion side of what you saw on the road was good and bad, and when you were with the guys. Can you just touch a little bit on that side of the world that perhaps people don't see with these guys that are on stage?
Sure. I think one of the most moving times was going to India, and we went to Cambodia and Africa, and taking our children to see other children living on rubbish dumps, rubbish tips. Those are the sort of things our children still talk about. You don't forget those memories. And I think if anybody out there has any opportunity to travel and to go to some of these places, please do. Please it's very, very different. You can watch stuff on the television, but actually going to places and, looking at people in the eyes and, having that physical connection is something that I think is something very special that we were privileged to do with the children. And, they were all different ages and they came away with all different memories. But for me, I guess whenever I see need, you just want to do something, however big or small that is. I just think that whether that's just helping someone in your local church, or being able to go to India and do some mission work over there. I just think if you feel the need and you feel God's calling you to it, I'm just a huge encourager of doing what you can in your community and out. So, I'm just keep, encouraging people to look out of your box. Don't get comfy. We can all do that. We can feel comfy very quickly, and just let's try and push each other to do a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, Amen. One of the things that we also have in common, and Chuck does as well, is we have a house full of creatives, kids who are very creative. Some, obviously, we've had Ellie Linebear on the podcast, your daughter, who is doing an amazing job as an amazing singing career. But all your kids very much are creative. Same with mine, same with Chuck's. Tell us a bit about, because I know, I mean, I could answer this, right? because it's been crazy having creatives in the house, but what is it like stewarding that, making sure that the kids are staying creative but not too crazy? Just tell us a bit about that world for you, because it's.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what stewarding looks like, Andy. I haven't a clue. I've never had a clue. I don't think I could steward anything in this house. If anything, I'm just like, go, just do it. Whatever is going on in your heart. I mean, it's nuts. It's absolutely bonkers. And again, it's not just my own children. It's that now their partners, their husbands, other people from the church that are coming in. It's just, I'm just loving it, encouraging it. I want to see more of it.
Yeah.
So it's been, I don't think there's any stewarding now. I think it's just encouraging it.
But I think that's part of the stewarding. I think there's a lot of people who are like, you want to do what? No. You know what I mean? Like, shut it down. Even for what we've done with, both of our boys are now in LA. Ethan was on tour with Mosaic this last year. Clay is playing at Mosaic, but then he, just let us know that they've got an apartment on the Warner Brothers lot, like it's where the actors used to live. Like I'm like, okay, this is great. You know what I mean? Go and do it. And it's hard because for us especially, our boys are the other side of the country. And getting to see them and things like that. But I think there's part of stewarding there of just saying, go for it.
Letting go too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Letting go. And I think one of the things I really encourage, especially if they're doing Christian music or in that Christian scene, is I've noted very quickly in our culture here in England that, if it's like a mainstream thing, then they taper it down for the church. Whatever their gifting is, they kind of make it a bit neater, or they shut down because they don't think that the church will want that crazy bit of them. And one of my passions is to enable the whole of them, the crazy bit as well, to be accepted in church.
Yeah.
So that's one of my passions, is don't do a Christian song because it fits something. Do a song that you want to sing. Do a song that you is all of you, rather than a cut down what you think will fit in this cookie cutter package. And I think, of course, with what Martin's done, he's always done that. He's always just sung out whatever. He hasn't fitted a box. And that's one of my big passions for other creatives out there. Don't feel like you have to water down. That's the biggest mistake, watering down something to fit something. Just give God your everything. Don't try and change it up. If you're a painter, paint how you would in church as you would outside church. If you are a guitarist, play like you do in your bedroom, play the whole of you, rather than just the bit that you think everybody likes.
Yeah, that's really good.
Because I just feel passionate. I feel passionate about that.
Yeah, because you always hear, is it a Christian band? This big thing with Delirious was, are you a Christian band or are you
or Christians in a band?
Yeah. I mean, and it's like, we're just doing a band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know
totally.
I know that you see that a lot. The boxes come out, and in fact, some of the best, what we would say, secular artists, you find out are coming from a place of being a Christian. And so
absolutely,
it's so crucial to, like I said, be the whole person out there for sure. So Martin is now back on the road a little bit, and as we're recording this and as it's going out, he is actually going out with Kari, Jobe, and Cody Carnes on the Blessings tour. Now, is the feeling the same? Like, obviously the kids have grown a bit. Some are out the house. Like, does it feel the same, or is it different than?
It's really exciting. I'm really excited about the season. I think it's probably as well because the children are older, so I'm not so, it's not so crazy. But also the decisions we're making them together. We're making them, and, you know, you don't have to think of the whole team and, you know, what dates could work for everybody. This is something that me and Martin can be super prayerful about. Yeah. You know, come together, this date will work, that date won't work. And I think that this season of, we weren't expecting, like, you know, the Kari and Cody. I mean, like, where did that come from, God? What's going on? You know, so we're still super surprised, super thankful that, you know, that Martin's still traveling and doing what he loves doing. And I'm just incredibly grateful that he's still loving what he's doing. That I don't take that for granted in any regard, that, you know, my husband is able to do a job that he loves. Yeah. That is incredible. And that I can get to travel with him now as well. Yeah. And I can experience a little bit more of what he's doing. And, you know, it's in a really interesting season of what God's doing with music across the world at the minute. And I just feel really privileged to be able to experience some of that with him.
Yeah. You know, it's really cool that you do get to experience that with them now. And really something that we maybe talked about when he was on the podcast, but maybe we haven't today, is he's one of the pioneers that paved the way for tours like the one he's on right now. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And even special. When, you know, Kari and Cody on recent albums have done some of Martin's and Delirious' songs and have done them justice. But I know beautiful. For them, it must be like not, I don't want to say weird, but an honor. It's an honor to have the guy who wrote it to be able to sing it with them night after night to thousands of people.
I just see it the opposite. I just think it's a total honor to be with those guys. I just love them. Absolutely love those guys. They are the real deal. Yeah. They are God-fearing, God-loving, family-loving people. And I just feel totally honored that Martin is, you know, out there doing what he loves doing with them. I mean, it's just dream team.
And the craziest thing is Stu G is going to be with him.
Yes.
Who's been on the podcast as well.
Unbelievable.
His guitar tech was on the podcast.
I feel a bit left out, actually. Yeah, the best time.
You should be coming over, you know, Kari, do something, sing or dance or something for them, you know.
Oh, I know, exactly. Carry their bags, do their washing.
Well, so that's happening right now. They're out. We are just praying for us in the Midwest and East Coast that they do the tour again, only this side of the country. Yes. I was just thinking about that. Just now, the freedom that you have. Not that the kids weren't freedom, but now you can feel that. You know what I mean? Sure. Being able to be involved more.
Yeah, my youngest is 15. Mary is 15, and so. Again, I'm in this crucial time. I'm not going to jump and do tours with Martin. I still feel like having teenagers. You know, I've got Ruby, who's also 18. So I want to be at home. I'm also a grandma. Yeah. So I'm loving looking after my beautiful Maccabee. So this season is still like rolling. And I've got church here and, you know, stuff going on here as well for me. So even though I could go on the road with Martin, because Mary is old enough, I still feel like there is a season that I'm just waiting. I'm not jumping, you know, it's going to be God when it's right. And whatever that looks like, you know, we're just got to be patient.
Yeah. What do you feel for the future with what is happening with Martin? Because it's like, and obviously COVID hit a bit, and Martin really was really instrumental for the churches that didn't have the capability of having a band to do things. I know he was doing things for the churches that they could do worship right in their homes and things like that. So that was a season there. But you know, is there like an excitement for you now of of what's happening, not just for Martin, but for you as an individual?
Definitely there is an excitement, but there is also, like I would say in my spirit, there's a shifting going on. Something is happening, I think, to do with a changing of an atmosphere and something I don't quite know what it is. But it's definitely in the church and in amongst people. And I'm just getting ready for whatever that is. I can't articulate that well enough. Sorry to you, but I'm aware that his presence is quite thick amongst lots of communities at the minute. And I am waiting and I'm expectant and I am, wanting to just be ready for this next season. And so I am excited, but I'm also hesitant to not jump too soon, not to think I know what it is and to be heading in that. I just want to hear from God what this next season looks like. I've got dreams, I've got ambitions of what I would love to see, but I'm feeling like, God, I just want to wait on you, wait on what you want to bring in this season. And I do feel like there's a shuffling happening. There's a reshuffle happening, and I don't quite know what that is at the minute. So, but I'm excited, I'm expectant, but I don't think it will all be easy.
I love that. You have so much wisdom, and I think that one thing that's encouraging for me and hopefully for our listeners and viewers is this. You've been through some hard stuff. You've experienced setback. You've experienced loss. You've experienced the strain of ministry, the pull, all these things, and yet you still love Jesus.
Absolutely.
You're not jaded. And so many people today are jaded, and they've walked away from their faith because of the hard times. And there's something to say about your steadfastness and your faithfulness. So I just want to say thank you for staying faithful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Honestly, I would love to say, that I'm telling you, there are some people out there that have had a lot harder than I have. There are some really, really tricky situations. But if I can help anybody who's gone through, 10 times, is just honestly, hold on to your Heavenly Father. Hold on in there. Don't give up too soon. He is right there with you, even if you don't feel it, even if you can't see where he is. Just hold on in there. Keep trusting. Talk to some great people around you that are hope-filled. Be aware of your environment. Be aware of what you're looking at on your phone. Be aware of what you're reading. And just put people around you that will direct you in, and read the Bible. Get into, my thing is Proverbs. I love a quick word that's going to help me in a season, in a really tricky moment. Like, get into the word, get into another things that really helps me is put that worship music on, put some music on, change your atmosphere. If you are feeling heavy, if you are feeling down, if you don't know what to do, put some music on. Put some music on that will take your eyes up. Put some music on that will bring your eyes out of your situation. Those are just a few tools that help me, a few things that get me through, my day when it is tough. And that, as I said, there's people out there it's a lot tougher for, and I have no idea how you're doing it. But if, that helps you, just try and stick into some good practical help there. And, that's just what's helped me.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, Anna, would you do something for us? We always end the podcast with our guest praying. And I know you've touched on a few things, but would you just pray us out here? And then we'll come back after the prayer and just we'll do the big three and a few other ways that people can connect with you. But would you pray for us?
I would be honored to.
Thank you.
Heavenly Father, I just want to pray right now for anyone listening, watching, that, Lord, that you would come and be super close. Be with anyone out there that is feeling misunderstood or just really lonely. God, that you would meet them right now where they are, that you see everything. You know what's gone on. You know their lives and all that they've battled through. And Lord, I just pray that you would come by your Spirit and just be with them right now. And I pray for some creatives, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, Lord, that you would meet them, encourage them, spur them on to do more, and to be encouraged to focus in on what you have for them in their lives. And Lord, I just want to thank you for this opportunity. And Heavenly Father, we just pray you'd come, be with us wherever we are, in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Well, thank you so much. And we are going to do what we do at every podcast, is the big three. So, Anna, we are going to be asking you 3 questions. They've got nothing to do with really what we've talked about already, but just to get to know you, right, more. Okay. So, do you want me to start?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. So, you live in Brighton, right, which is down on the south coast of England.
Woo.
Yes. So the British Riviera, as a lot of people call it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if we are coming, and we've done this, but if we are coming to your house, where are you taking us out to eat?
Well, first of all, I would much prefer that you just stay with us in our home. Like, going out is great, but you can go out anywhere.
I know.
Like, do you know what? Hang with us. Hang with us here in Brighton. You know, we'll put some lovely food on. We'll put some music on, and we'll all hang out and we'll laugh and chat. Just hang out together. Yeah. That would be my absolute heaven with people, because I just think when they're in your home, everybody relaxes a little bit more than going out to dinner. Right. We've got some fantastic restaurants in Brighton. I could take you to the Ivy. I could take you to some phenomenal places. But do you know what? Beans and toast with a load of great people is the best.
There you go. Man. Beans on toast. Huh?
Beans on toast.
There you go. And
honestly.
And I'm not just saying this. Like, what Anna just said is exactly what you do when you go to their house. Like, hey, we're going to chill. Now, I will remember the fish and chips on the Brighton Pier.
That's pretty special. That's pretty special down there.
But definitely, boy, you guys do a mean roast dinner as well. You know, I mean, you know, there's nothing
delicious.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Chuck, next question.
All right. So my question, Anna, is, so you get on a plane and you fly over here to America with Martin. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite place to visit in the United States?
Oh, that's tricky, because I do like the sunshine. So, you know, it would have to be probably somewhere California way. And we got some dear friends, Matt and Beth Redman, who we love dearly. So it'd probably be that kind of way. But there are so many places. Florida, we got some great people. Yeah. Miami, I can do that. But of course, I would love to be Andy and Teresa up in Peoria. I mean, where else?
Where else would you want to go?
Well, where else would I
can think of a number of other places.
Okay,
California, Florida.
Okay, last question. You have a pretty famous brother, right?
Oh,
plays in a band called Royal Blood, which is a band that, like, Chuck, when we talk about Royal Blood, we're talking about like royalty of British pop stars. They are opening for, and they are around and getting a lot of Brit Awards, and I mean, like, the real deal, right? So with that in mind, and the type of people that he may be around, what are you listening to at this moment?
Oh. What, musically?
Yeah, musically. Yeah. Apart from Martin.
Of course, apart from Martin. And of course, apart from my daughter Ellie.
Ellie as well.
A songwriter. Yeah, can't miss out. And then Noah, my son, is writing with my brother. I mean, honestly, there is too much music happening in this house.
That's great.
But I do like listening to all sorts of music. There is not, when I go to school, I have a bit of worship music, a bit of elevation. I also have the Radio 1, which is a secular music pop thing on. I like Classical FM, which is a classical. I love all sorts of different And the children, you guys would know this, they bring music in from all sorts.
Oh, yeah.
Some of it is suitable and some of it isn't suitable. But they bring it in and we all listen to it and we all get creative on what we think, why they love it. So music in my house, I actually love. I love any music that gets people dancing as well.
Yeah.
That is something that I love, is the freedom of that. So I love any sort of music. Put it on and let's have a listen. Tell me why you love it.
Yeah. And again, this is Teresa. I remember when we first went to your house and like Martin cranked the music up and Teresa was like, well, I guess we're having music on. Like it was like, there's always music on, you know what I mean? Which is awesome. We love it. So, well, Anna, thank you so much for being on Revival Town today. If people want to follow your story on social or anything, what's the best way for them to follow?
Oh, I think I'm Anna Smith TV or something. I don't know, something like that on Instagram.
We'll tell people to Google it.
I know, Google it. I have no idea. You probably know that more than I do. I haven't a clue.
We'll put a link on the Instagram stuff. So thank you so much for being on. This has been awesome, sharing your story and praying that everything goes well with Martin's tour at the minute as well. Or not Martin's tour, you know, Kari and Cody's tour, and Martin's just there to be a part of it. It's going to be so good. But thank you for coming on to Revival Town podcast today, Anna.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
And people can get your book on Amazon. Meet Mrs. Smith, right?
I think it's still around.
Right.
I mean, it's still there, I reckon.
Great. Meet Mrs. Smith on Amazon. Make sure you go and check it out. Again, thank you so much, Anna, for being on Revival Town.
Thank you.
Good stuff, Andy.
Oh, man. That was good, wasn't it?
Loved it.
What did you get out of that? I mean, I know there's a lot of different aspects because your church was doing Delirious stuff early on.
Right.
Like when Delirious were just starting to bring stuff out, your church was rolling with that. So
we had at least 1 to 2 songs in our rotation for a long time.
Yeah.
Really. And every now and then we still break out Obsession. We really do.
Yeah.
But Delirious was an instrumental part of our early worship days.
Yeah.
And but you know, something that Anna said today made me think of something that happened to me just a few weeks ago. You know, she talked about ministry being hard.
Yeah.
There are seasons where it is difficult.
Yeah.
And pastoring can be challenging as well. It's rewarding. It's a calling. If it wasn't a calling, I wouldn't do it. I'm called to do it, but I really do love to do it. And even if I wasn't called, I might still do it because you know what I mean? I really do enjoy it. And me personally, I wouldn't want to do anything else except for maybe go on tour with Cody Carnes, Kari, Jobe. All right. But no, in all seriousness, a few weeks ago, you know, it was one of those days where, and I don't know if you've heard this before, Andy, maybe you have, but it's been said, at least I don't know if I read it, somebody told me, that when you get up and speak for 45 minutes, you are using the same amount of endorphins equivalent to an 8-hour workday. So this is why Sunday afternoon naps for pastors really is a big deal. This is why I joked around. I fell asleep in the Dollar General parking lot in my car for like an hour on a Sunday afternoon. Well, here's what happened. You know, doing back-to-back services.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm a passionate speaker. I mean, I'm not monotone. I sometimes get a little crazy. Right?
Yeah.
All right. And I was wiped out, and I had to make a couple hospital visits. Right after church. And usually I just go eat and then I crash. But so I went to the hospital and I had to go to 2 different hospitals to pray for 2 different people. And I just sat in the parking garage and I fell asleep.
In the parking garage?
In the parking garage for an hour. For an hour. I woke up and I'm like, no, I wanted to already be in and out at the next hospital so I could just, go home, be with the family, eat something, and just take a nap. But I took a nap in the hospital parking garage.
What's the deal with you taking naps in the car?
I don't know. Next week, I'm just going to go get on a bus, go wake up, and I'll be in a different state.
Well, we just want to thank you for listening today. Now, if you're listening to the first time, there's something that we do every week called Tate and His Mate. Now, this is something that we have done from day one, right?
Right.
And
in fact, the only time we've never done Tate and His Mate was our episode with J.D. Wall a couple weeks ago, where we just wanted to focus on the revival.
Yeah. And so I'm going to put this into context, all right? We just had Anna on, and this is where we, for those who are new, we throw out an English word, phrase, rhyming Cockney slang, where I obviously am the mate to Tate, Chuck Tate, and Chuck has to try.
And you're saying that in a British context. We just want everybody to know that.
That's a different podcast. And so here's what I'm going to do. We'll throw something at you that is very, very English. And are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this. I got to guess.
So I asked Anna about where she would take us to eat, and I talked about they took us down to the Brighton Pier, and I'm going to put it into context. We went to the Brighton Pier, and I had a poke of chips.
A poke?
Poke. K. Poke, as in Coke.
Poke of chips at the pier.
At the pier.
Not a pear.
A poke.
At the pier. A poke of chips at the pier. So if you had a poke of chips,
what's a poke of chips?
A poke chip, like a polka dance, polka. Reminds me of Home Alone. Polka. Oh yeah. We left little Tyke in the funeral home all day. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Was he okay? Yeah. I mean, after a few weeks, he started talking again. All right. So no, not polka, but poke of chips. Yeah. How about a bucket of chips? I'm gonna say a bucket.
A bucket?
A bucket.
No, it's not a bucket.
It's not a bucket. Okay, a poke of chips. So you're at the pier. You're having fish and chips, but you're having a poke of chips. Fries?
No.
Okay.
You want me to tell you? Poke of chips?
Poke of chips.
Is like a parcel of chips. Like the bag that it's in. Like you're going to have a poke of chips, here's a bag of chips. Fries.
Oh.
Right?
Right.
So it's just the way they say. So they say this up north, in the north of England. And so you get a poke of chips.
Okay.
Which is a bag of chips.
Okay. Stop by, grab a bottle of soda and a poke of chips.
There you go.
Hey. Man.
You're like a local.
Hey, you know what? Anna used one of our Tate and Mate words in bonkers. She said bonkers.
Bonkers, yeah. You love that word.
I love that word. I'm bonkers.
Oh, bonkers.
You're bonkers.
Well, thank you again for listening to Revival Town today. Make sure you're telling people about the show. We have got... we haven't told anyone.
We hit a big number. Is that what you're talking about?
Big number.
So 66,000 downloads.
66,000 downloads in the last 2 years. Year and a half, 2 years, something like that. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. It's all about you.
Yeah. So make sure you're telling people about it. Hey, could we hit 100,000 downloads by the end of the year?
I think we can do it.
I think we can do it.
I think we can do it.
So make sure you're telling people about it and tell them to go back to different episodes. Some people may be interested in the Asbury revival that took place.
Right.
Send them to JD's, maybe Amy Grant or Dallas Jenkins, some of the different people that we've had on.
Yes.
Make sure you're having them go to the website, revivaltownpodcast.com, and they can click episodes.
Yes. And I'd like to know, what is your favorite episode? In fact, I'm just going to throw this out there.
Okay.
All right. So you need to go to revivaltownpodcast.com.
Yep.
There is on the homepage, there is an option for you to leave a voice message. You cannot email this. You cannot write it on social media. You have to leave a voice message. If you will tell us, there's two things. Number one, what is your favorite episode and why? And number two, I want you to tell us how many episodes feature somebody from the band Delirious. If you get it correct,
band and family members.
Band and family members.
Okay.
If you get it correct, we are going to send you some free merch.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So you got to leave a contact number so we can get a hold of you. So we can text you.
So just leave them. You go on there. You hit. I think it's listen now, right? And when they go on there, they can then leave a voicemail. And why don't you do that? And we may even play it on the air as well. We'll have fun with that. So make sure you go and do that. Are you checking it right now? Is that what you're doing? Man,
I'm trying to figure out. So you don't hit listen now. You hit.
Here we go. Taking directions from Chuck.
I'm trying to find it because listen now takes us to the anchor page. Oh, yes.
That's where it was.
Take you to the anchor page.
Yeah.
And then there is a button on the left that says listen on Spotify, because you can listen on every platform available. But to the right, there is a button that says message. And if you click on message, that will allow you to record a voice message. Yeah. All right. So go to revivaltownpodcast.com, click on listen now. Then when you get taken to the next page, click on message.
All right.
Hey, there you go.
Go ahead and do it. And we will see you next week.
Next Monday.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Revival Town Podcast. Make sure you're following us on social media and remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. For more information, head on over to revivaltownpodcast.com.